Hello, friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. If you have ever looked at your garden and you're like, I really hope these plants work, I just want a beautiful garden, then this is the video for you. Today, I am sharing with you those annuals that always have a place in my garden. Without a doubt, we get gardeners of all levels here at Creekside Nursery. We get the brand new gardener that has never planted or gardened a day in their life. We get folks that have the self-proclaimed black thumb. I can fix that, by the way. And we have those true master gardeners that have stunning gardens and are way smarter than I am. So what I'm going to do with you today is share these rock star confidence building. You are not going to fail with these annuals. They are going to be all annuals. That is what we are focusing on today. So annuals, what does that mean? Those are those plants that will last for one growing season. Historically, that means from spring until the fall, right? So in those warmer months, they will not survive a frost or a freeze. So that is what I mean by annuals. Now, in order to make the cut for these rock star, like just confidence building, low maintenance, high performing plants, there were some certain criteria that I put into place. So these are going to be those annuals that essentially you can plant in the spring, take care of them for a couple of weeks, make sure that they get established, their roots are happy, and then at that point, essentially, they're going to be hands off. These are not going to be the divas in the garden. These are not going to require deadheading or a bunch of pruning. They are not going to require a lot of fertilizer, so you're not going to have to be out there on a bi-weekly rotation giving them liquid fertilizer. And for my southern gardeners and the Midwest, they are not prone to Japanese beetles. So thank goodness for that. So these truly are those annuals that no matter what the season of life that you're in, then these are going to be great ones for you, because I know literally I add these to my garden every year because they're so reliable. But maybe you're going into a season of life where you need to be a little hands off in the garden, but you still want to have these great annuals. Maybe you're getting ready to have a baby. Maybe you're taking care of aging parents. Maybe you've got some great vacations planned this summer. So I have got these plants for you that are going to give you a stunning garden with minimal effort. How about that? I think we're all for it. So I do have some annuals for the sun, I have annuals for the shade, and I have 3 that can go either or. So get comfy. I think most of the country is probably pretty cold right now. So get snuggled in, grab your gardening journal, or just be ready to take some screenshots. Get your beverage of choice, because here we go, my friends. We're going to talk about some fantastic annuals that are always in my garden. These are not in any kind of order specifically as far as like my top favorite to the end. We're just going to start with the sun annuals. So sun annuals, this means that they get a minimum of 5 to 6 hours of direct sun. And when I say that these can handle all day sun, that is what I mean. Even in North Carolina, the South, Southeast, and in my hotter friends in the country, you can literally put this in all day sun if you have it, but they need a minimum of the 5 to 6 hours. All right, so to kick off, we have got cleome. Cleome is one of those plants that I tell you is like a grandmama plant, meaning your grandmother could have had cleome growing in her garden. However, the newer cleome, specifically I am looking at Senorita Rosalita and Senorita Blanca. The difference between these two cleomes is truly their color. One's pink, one's white, but they have the exact same height, growing conditions, all of the things. Your cleome, the senoritas are going to be sterile. They are not going to produce seeds, so you're not going to have 1,000 little cleomes out in your garden. They are thornless, so that's always appreciated. And they don't have the typical kind of stink that traditional cleomes, seed variety cleomes, are used to. You're going to want to have Senorita Rosalita or Senorita Blanca. Truly depends on your color palette for the year. They both perform magnificently well. So it truly comes down to what color do you want. These are going to be great drought tolerant. Your butterflies love them. They're going to bring height to your garden. We always put Rosalita and Blanca in the signature garden and other areas as well. But by the end of the season, so I'm thinking about like September, October into November, my Senorita Rosalita, Senorita Blanca, they're every bit of 3.5 to 4 feet tall. They will get huge. So make sure you put them in an area that you can allow them to get big. These are perfect for the back of your flower bed or the center of your flower bed, depends on how you have it structured. If you want to put it in a pot, you can do it. I would say my folks in colder zones, because your growing season is shorter, you could absolutely put it in a pot to be your thriller. Folks who are like me, who have a long growing season, or if you have a longer growing season, I would really encourage you to put it in the landscape so that way it can grow to its potential and you're not out there constantly watering it. So, Senorita Rosalita, Senorita Blanca, forever will be in my garden. Next, salvias. So I honestly prefer the annual salvias over perennial salvias because the annual salvias are going to bloom much longer. They are a continuous bloomer. Perennial salvias, they have a very kind of a short window of when they bloom. So I always prefer the annual salvias. Now, it's going to come down to your color choice and what size you want. The unplugged series of salvias from Proven Winners, they're going to be a little bit more petite, okay? So if you need something in a shorter stature in the garden, whether you want to have it in the front of your bed, I loved Unplugged So Blue, and putting it in front of my David Austin roses again this year. It has that gorgeous blue color. It matches perfectly, complements the peach roses. Gorgeous. Pollinators go nuts over these salvias. So it's a little bit shorter. Unplugged Pink is a great one. And then there's a white and a red. Going to be shorter. If you want to go big or go home, right? Then you're going to go for the Rockin' series. Now, all of these are great. Again, it comes down to your color. Do you want the deep purple? Do you want the fuchsia, the bright pink? Do you want, what are the other colors? Blue suede shoes, gorgeous shade of blue, or you can do Play in the Blues. Play in the Blues is going to have a little bit of a different flower than the other Rockins, and the foliage is more of a green blue, as opposed to the other Rockins are a nice, rich, deep green. The reason that you want to do these salvias is, like I said, your pollinators go nuts over them. Historically, the deer and the rabbit leave them alone because they are a salvia, so when you crush them, they have a bit of a fragrance to them that the deer and rabbit historically do not like. I have rabbit issues in my garden. They left all of my salvias alone. I don't have deer, but as I always say, if deer and rabbits are starving, they will eat anything. They're going to be a little bit taller. They're going to be in that 3-foot range. They make a huge, gorgeous display. Again, if you're in cooler zones, you absolutely can put them in pots because your growing season is shorter and they're not going to overtake your container. If you're warmer like me, highly, 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 highly recommend they go straight in the landscape because that way their root system can go. They are gorgeous. Your hummingbirds love these. When I tell people that hummingbirds come into the greenhouses specifically to feed on the rockin' salvias, I'm not joking. They do it every single year. You're going to love these plants. Next, sunflowers. Sunflowers, of course, are synonymous with the summer garden, but the seed variety of sunflowers historically will either produce just a flower, one, or the multi-branching, and you will get multiples of those. But again, your window for your blooms is very short. We love the reblooming sunflowers. Now, this is going to come down to your color preference and your size. So you have the Suncredible sunflowers from Proven Winners. You've got Suncredible Yellow and Suncredible Saturn. They're basically going to be the exact same as far as growing, but their color is going to be different. Yellow, traditional, nice, sweet yellow sunflower. Your Saturn is going to be a bicolor. Roughly, they're going to be in that 3-foot range in my warmer zones in North Carolina, a zone 8A. Great for the landscape. They are continuous bloomers. So with these reblooming sunflowers, the more you cut on them, the more they bloom. So this is one that I really encourage you. Let your kids go out there and cut the flowers. They make great cut flowers like in a vase. Also, with the Creekside Champions, we have got the Sunfinity Yellow and then the Sunfinity Double Yellow. The Sunfinities are going to be a bit taller, so they're going to have a bit more of a presence in the garden. You may look at the Sunfinity Yellow and the Suncredible Yellow, and you may say, well, these look the exact same. It's going to be a size difference. Your Sunfinities are going to be almost in that 4-foot range, so it's going to depend on your space. And then the Sunfinity Double Yellow, oh my gosh, it is just so stinking fun. Is this not the cutest, prettiest flower ever? It will make a huge display in your garden. And again, of course, your pollinators, your honeybees love sunflowers. So got to get some of these reblooming sunflowers. Grasses. I am a huge fan of grasses, whether they're perennial grasses or annual grasses. So Proven Winners has the Graceful Grasses line. And I love the annual grasses because they give me color where the perennial grasses cannot offer me these colors. For example, the graceful grass, purple fountain grass, one that I will always have in my yard every year because of its deep, near black foliage. It's so deep purple, it looks black. I don't have a perennial option for my grasses in that aspect. Next, we have fireworks. So fireworks is going to be more of that red grass. And all of the graceful grasses from Proven Winners, they are very flowy. They have got they add movement to the garden. They will put on these beautiful plumes. So you've just got texture and movement in the garden. You've got Skyrocket, which is going to be more of a green with a white edging. So fun. Always add grasses to your garden. They make great container plants if you've got a nice big pot, but they really thrive in the landscape, again, especially in those warmer areas. As a side note, you know, I'm all about keeping it real here at Creekside, the messes and the successes. If you hear something weird as far as the sound, we've got some tree work going on. So there is a chainsaw happening that comes on and off. So we're going to do our best to kind of eliminate that out of the sound. But life has to go on here at Creekside. So again, I apologize if it sounds kind of weird. It's just some tree work. Moving on. All right, next, all right, Lantana. Y'all, if you are not growing Lantana in your garden, you are missing out so much on this fantastic plant. Now, Lantanas, there are a gazillion, and yes, that is an official number. There are a gazillion different types of Lantanas out there on the market. It truly comes down to find the one that works best in your garden with your color palette and the size that you want. So lantanas are going to be one of those plants in the springtime that you're going to overlook because lantanas thrive. The hotter, the drier, the more humid it is, the nastier the weather, they love it. So in the spring, when we're cool and we're just now starting to get into some warmer days, they're still going to be small. You may not even have a flower on the lantana yet in your local garden center. Look at the tag, read the description, and then buy it. You are going to thank yourself come the end of July, August, September, October, because that is when they shine, my friends. They are fantastic. Again, if you've never tried it, pick up one. Just humor me and get a lantana. Try it, put it in the hottest, driest, nastiest part of your garden that looks sad come those hot months in the summer. You're going to thank me. All right, so just to kind of run down a little bit. So Proven Winners has like the luscious line of your lantana, and they come in a huge range of colors. They come in a relatively good size in that kind of that 2 to 3 foot range. It just really depends on the variety. So when you're shopping, when you're on the website or you're looking at the plant tag, look at your description. It will tell you how tall they get, but you get a huge range of colors. And then also this year with the Creekside Champions, we are excited that we have the bandana series of lantana. These are really well known, very popular, have proven themselves time and time again in a wide range of gardens to be highly successful. Personally, I know like the bandana white because it is kind of hard to get a pure white lantana. If you're interested in that, check out the bandana white. But of course, your pollinators love it, your butterflies love them. Again, tend to be deer and rabbit resistant because they are very coarse and tough, and the critters don't like to chew on them. So try lantana. You're going to thank yourself, I promise. Sun patience. Sun patience. Oh my gosh, every year I will put sun patience in my garden. I have plans for them all over the place this year. Again, they come in a wide range of colors, and these are those impatiens that thrive in the sun. And yes, they really will thrive in the sun. You're going to want to put them in the ground earlier in the season, but you got to wait till your last frost date because they don't like it really cold. So wait till your last frost date. For me, that's like April the 15th, roughly in there. So you're going to go ahead and plant them and then just sit back and let them grow. They will get nice and tall by the end of the season. They are gorgeous. So you can get pure white flowers. You can get the variegated foliage, right? So you can get a green with the like chartreuse strip through the middle with those hot pink flowers. Tons of different colors available. Choose the color that you want in your garden. Try the sun patience. They start out small, y'all. By the end of the season, they are nice and big. You're going to love them. Now, interestingly enough, there are, y'all, I was literally taking a little bit of a break between filming this because of the chainsaws, and I was on Facebook. Yes, I know, but I was scrolling through and I saw on a gardening page, and somebody literally said, "Can sun patients take all day sun?" And people were like, "No, no, no, no." Y'all, they can. There are a few little tricks you're going to do. Okay. So, if you're going to put them in full sun, which I do on a regular basis, I have never had any issue whatsoever. To help is that put down a thick layer of mulch. So when you plant, put mulch around the plants. This will work for all of these guys. Put a nice thick layer of mulch. That is going to retain moisture. It helps insulate the roots. It is going to keep out the weeds. We love that. And then if you, in the hottest parts of the season, and especially when you're trying to first get them established in the first couple of weeks, again, this goes for all of the plants, we want to make sure that you get some water. But sun patients can take full all day sun. I have proof in my garden. They thrive, they do great. So yes, they can take all day sun. Also, as a side note, again, great tip. They hate to be fertilized. So yay for that. I do put down the Proven Winners continuous release fertilizer when I plant them, like with all of my annuals. But other than that, they really do not like to be fertilized. So, I mean, that is a gardener's dream, isn't it? Then Evolvulus. Now, I do adore the Blew My Mind XL Evolvulus. This is again going to be one in the spring that you're going to go to the garden center and you're like, well, it's not very showy right now. But just wait, my friends, because Blew My Mind XL, it is, again, that plant, the hotter, the drier, the nastier it is, the happier this plant is. It hates to be fertilized, which yay for that. But it's going to be nice and low growing. It has kind of a blue-green foliage to it with pure blue flowers, true blue flowers, not a horticultural blue, a true blue flower. It is part of the Morning Glory family, so it's really cool. So the blooms open and close with the sun every day. You're going to love this plant. It will go throughout the entire season up till a hard freeze. Very low growing, so it works perfect at the front of your flower bed. I always typically will put it around my mailbox, so super low. If you put it in a container, put it on the edge because it will spill over and act like a trailer. Next up, we have Portulaca. Y'all, Portulaca, this is going to be another one of those plants that is really underused in the garden, but future you is going to thank current you for getting this for your summer garden. Portulaca, again, comes in a lot of the really hot, bold colors. It's going to remind you of more like a succulent or a sedum. Has very kind of thick, waxy leaves on it. nice and kind of has a lower profile, and it is going to be an absolute gorgeous, huge display of color throughout the season. Now, I've got two different series for you. You have got the Mojave series from Proven Winners, Mojave Portulaca from Proven Winners. That's a mouthful. So the Mojaves are going to be nice and short. These work great in the landscape as like a ground cover, or you could put it on the edge of a wall or on a hill. So very low profile, but they will spread out. Not invasive, they just spread. So you've got yellows and reds, oranges, you've got like a tangerine, you've got a mango, you've got all these different colors that come with the Mojave Portulacas. Fuchsia, hot pink, gorgeous. I did fuchsia in a hanging basket at the chicken coop. I think it was 2 summers ago, and it was glorious. I think I did yellow last year. So in a container or a hanging basket, low profile, but it's going to spill over. It was so prolific, you could barely even see the hanging basket that it was in. Now, also with the Creekside Champions, we have the Mega series of Portulaca. The difference between the Megas and the Mojaves is that the Megas, as the name suggests, they're going to get bigger. So they're going to get more height to them. They come in 3 different colors. You have got the gold, the orange, and the red. And so these guys are going to get more height to them. The spread is essentially the same. So depending again on your application, maybe if you're going to put it in a hanging basket, you want more height to it instead of being so low profile and then coming down. So maybe you go for the Megas. If you want to, whatever the case may be, right? So that's the difference between the Megas and the Mojaves. Mojaves, you get more of a color choice right now. Your Megas, they're going to be bigger. All of these, surprisingly enough, are huge pollinator attractors, especially the yellows and the golds. The honeybees go nuts over it. So it's a great way to support your pollinators and also add gorgeous color to your garden. So those are the sun annuals that are my tried and true, rock steady every year. Add them to the garden in some shape, fashion, or form. Now, for my shade folks, because historically shade people, shade gardens, you think they don't have a lot of flowers and or color, but you're wrong. So a shade garden means that it is going to get 4 to 5 hours of sun or less. Some people will say, well, I have a complete shade garden. There are very few gardens, they do exist, but there are very few gardens that are in complete and total no sun whatsoever. Most gardens get more sun than you think, even if it is filtered sun, or maybe you get an hour or two in the morning, you get an hour at lunch, and then they're in the shade for the rest of the day. So we want to focus and make sure that our sun conditions are correct, because if we put these shade-loving annuals in a sunny garden where it's really hot, they're going to burn. So this is going to be one of those key points that you're going to want to make sure that you pay attention, that you're putting them in the right areas. Absolutely. Hands down. Every year, I don't care what is happening, I will always add the Endless Illumination Broalia to my shade garden. Y'all, this is such a sweet plant, a beautiful plant. Has a nice mounded habit to it, has fat, star-shaped flowers. In the horticultural world, they say they're blue. They're not a true blue. They're somewhere between a blue and a purple, but they're nice and have a beautiful presence to them, and it will cover the entire plant. This is going to be a little bit more sun tolerant, but it absolutely goes into your shade garden. So I love Endless Illumination because it fills in. I would say it gets to be about in that 8 to 10 inches tall, 10 to 12 inches wide. I don't prune it. I rarely will I fertilize it, and these do amazing. So if you want to have those beautiful flowers in your shade garden, have that kind of that blue purple color, go for Endless Illumination. So many times people think, well, I have a shade garden. I can't have bright, beautiful flowers in my shade garden. Yes, you can. Let me introduce you to the Rocapuco impatiens. So the Rocapuco are a double impatient. They look like almost like little miniature roses. They are beautiful. They come in a wide range of colors. So truly, whatever your color palette is for your shade garden, there's a Rocapuco that is going to be a great fit. Beautiful, nice mounded habit to them, continuous bloomers. Again, like with your other impatiens, they don't really like to be fertilized, like with that water-soluble fertilizer, so that you don't have to have them on that regular schedule of fertilizing. The only tip that I would say about the Rocapucos is they can tend to be a messy plant, meaning because you don't have to deadhead them, it is a self-cleaning plant. So once a flower is done, then it will shed its petals and then it will continue to produce new flowers. This is where it can get messy. So I like putting them in the landscape. So I will either put them directly into the landscape, or if I need some height in my shade garden, I will put them in a pot, and that pot is in the landscape. It's a great little trick. I have learned I do not like to put my Rocapucos in a container, say on my porch, because then I have petals all over my porch. In the landscape, it doesn't bother me whatsoever. They decompose, they go back down to the earth, they turn into compost. It's great. On my porch, however, it does kind of drive me crazy. If it doesn't bother you, or you're going to have it in a hanging basket, maybe hanging from a tree over in your shade garden, these would be fantastic. You can do what we call a monoculture, where you have a container, a hanging basket, and maybe you plant 2 or 3, or you just, if it's a smaller container, just plant 1. But it's the same plant, but that's the only plant that is in that container or hanging basket. It is a beautiful display. You're going to love the Rocapucos for your shade garden. Next, angel wing begonias. Y'all, these are again one of your grandmama plants. These are tried and true. They get gorgeous size to them. They are a begonia for the shade. I personally love putting them in containers. On my front porch, that is the place I have the absolute best success with my angel wing begonias. They come in basically red, pink, and white. So pick your color and go for it. They will get to be a good size. So they will get to be in, I would say, anywhere, depending on your growing season, depending on how much soil you have, or if they're in the landscape, somewhere between 12 to 24 inches tall. And they have a natural kind of a weeping, draping habit to them. So they kind of cascade. They're gorgeous. Nice, big, wide leaves on them, and then just covered in the flowers. Like I said, I always put angel wing begonias in my hanging baskets on the front of my house. And by the end of the year, people are just blown away by how absolutely gorgeous they are. They also would work really well in the landscape. So if you need some height in your shade garden, go with the angel wing. Some people call them dragon wing begonias. The same thing. You'll love them. Trust me. And then one of the surprises. Now this plant, this series of plants, the Double Delight begonias from Proven Winners. This is one that I made a bunch of mess with, and I killed a few until I figured out the trick of how to grow them in my North Carolina garden. So I'm going to share it with you. So the Double Delight begonias from Proven Winners are a double begonia. They're more of a trailing begonia. They are gorgeous in containers, hanging baskets. I have them in my hay racks, window boxes, whatever you want to call them. And they come in basically 3 colors. So you have got the primrose, which is a beautiful yellow. Then you've got apple blossom, which is a light pink, has more of an open habit on the bloom. And then you have got blush rose. Now, the key for these guys, because on the tag it will say full sun. If you are in a warm, humid climate like I am in North Carolina, do not put them in full sun. They will fry. If you're in a zone 4, a zone 5, you probably absolutely could get away putting them in full sun. We can't do that down here in the Southeast. So what I have learned is they do great in morning sun, afternoon shade. And when I say morning sun, some of mine get up sun from sun up until lunchtime, but from like lunch to the end of the day, they are in the shade. If you have all day filtered sun, they would work. If you only had a little bit of afternoon sun, try it. I bet they will work as long as you keep your soil moist. But you're going to love these because, like I said, they get a little bit of height to them, but then they spill over. I did blush rose in my hay rack along the driveway. Unbelievably gorgeous. And then last for the shade garden, it is another begonia. Y'all, I'm telling you, begonias, if you're not using them, these are not the old-timey grandmama begonias that you thought, oh my gosh, those things are awful. No, they're fantastic. Now, this one does not have any flowers, but it is striking. I love it. It is perfect for the shade garden. Pegasus. So Pegasus begonia is going to get some good height to it. Again, put it in a landscape, put it in a container, it'll do great. But this is going to be for foliage and for different structure contrast in the garden. Nice big little kind of a heart-shaped, rough heart-shaped leaf for you want to call it a heart shape. So completely different structure, say, than like your Rocapuco impatiens or your Broalia. It's going to be a different height to it as well. So in the landscape, I would say in that, again, 12 to 24 inches, and it's going to get some nice spread. So it'll get about 18 inches wide. Has beautiful, like dark green, different variegation in the foliage. It is beautiful. It will make a gorgeous backdrop to any of your other flowering annuals in the shade garden. It pairs beautifully with your hostas, your brunnera, you name it. It works great in the shade garden. Gorgeous color and structure with some height to it. Check out Pegasus, and it's going to be another one in the beginning of the early spring in the garden center. You're going to overlook it because it's small. I will also say this is one of those plants that Jerry does not like to grow. As a grower, he despises this plant because it has to wait until it gets really warm for it to take off, because in the early spring, when it's still kind of cool, it just will sit there. But as soon as the heat and the humidity really start, boom, Pegasus just grows, and it is gorgeous. Now there are those rare plants that will do both sun, shade, and anywhere in between. And that's why I love them, because they are so versatile. So first up, we have got coleus. So coleus is, oh my gosh, it's one of those other plants. If you're not growing it, you are missing out big time. Does it flower? No. Do we care? No. Does it give us fabulous color in the garden? Absolutely. So remember, you do not have to have flowers to have a colorful, interesting garden. Yes, we want flowers, but you don't have to have only plants that will flower. Coleus is definitely going to fit this bill. Now, we offer two different options as far as your coleus. We have the Color Blaze coleus from Proven Winners, and then we have the Creekside Champions, which is part of the Main Street coleus with that in that offering. Now, the biggest difference is going to be the size, and obviously the Color Blaze series from Proven Winners, there's a lot more color choices associated with that. However, with the Main Street, like I said, they're going to be smaller. So for example, you have got the Color Blaze Lime Time from Proven Winners, and then you have got the Main Street Chartreuse Street from on that Main Street series. When you look at the picture, they look the exact same. They're a solid chartreuse leaf. The difference is going to be the size. So Lime Time can get up to be like 3.5 feet tall. And trust me, if you have a long growing season like I do, it absolutely will get to be 3 feet tall. Your Chartreuse Street is going to be much smaller. So in that like 15, 16 inches tall. So a huge difference. So let's say you love Lime Time, but you want to put it in a container and it just overtakes it. Try the Chartreuse Street. Or if you have different areas of the garden, that's going to be the big difference. Another one will be like the Bourbon Street versus your Wicked Witch. So your Bourbon Street is going to have, and your Wicked Witch, again, you look at them and they look almost the exact same on the website. So look at your tags. So your Bourbon Street is going to be 16 inches tall and about 12 inches wide, where Wicked Witch is going to be 3.5 feet tall and 3 feet wide. So massive, huge size difference. And y'all, when people say, I don't believe that this plant's really going to get that big, yes, it will. These Color Blazes will get huge. A couple of years ago, I had Wicked Witch in the privacy berm, and at the end of the season, they were every bit of 3.5 to 4 feet tall. They were the most glorious, beautiful things I have ever seen. Golden Dreams is another one that I absolutely love for that big, huge presence. So just know that when you're looking at Beale Street versus Ridiculous, it's going to be a size difference, not necessarily a color difference, but sun or shade. Go through, have fun. There's the trailing ones from Proven Winners. So that's the drops. So you've got cherry drop, strawberry drop, chocolate drop. So those are truly going to be trailing coleus. They also make a great ground cover. So look at those. Then you have got, go back, okay, for a second. So on your coleus, sun or shade, let's say that you put Sedona Sunset, you have the exact same plant, you buy two, right? So you put one in full all day sun, it can handle it, trust me, I promise. Or you put the other one in filtered sun, maybe a little bit of morning sun in that shade, right? So you're putting it in your shade garden. At the end of the season, they're going to look like two different plants because the color is going to change based on the amount of sun. So one is going to be more of a bright red, one is going to be more of an orange. So if you put the exact same plant, one is full sun and one is going to be much more shaded, you could see a bit of a color variation, especially when you're looking at the reds, the oranges, those kinds of colors. You're going to see a little bit of a difference there. All right, now moving on. Begonias. Again, I'm sorry, they're fantastic plants. If you're not growing them, I am here to help you succeed, my friends, and just trust me. Surefire begonias, love these plants. Double up begonias, love these plants, and they truly can do all day sun or all day shade. They will perform for you. So the difference between a surefire begonia and a double up begonia is going to be their size and their blooms. Your surefires are going to be taller and at about 18 to 24 inches tall, a bigger leaf. You're going to have the blooms, they're all colors, right? So there's basically the red, the pink, and the white, right? So you've got all these different colors on it and give you a nice, good presence in the garden. Your double up begonias are going to have a more rounded, mounded habit, smaller, shiny, nice, shiny leaves, and the flowers, as their name suggests, are going to be small but prolific double flowers. So they're going to be absolutely covered, nice mounded habit. So basically the difference is one is tall and upright and has bigger but fewer blooms on it. Your double ups are going to be short, round, covered in blooms. Again, lots of color choices for you there. And then we're excited to have at the Creekside Champions, we have got the Viking XL Red on Chocolate. That is quite a name, but y'all, it is quite a plant. So this is going to be near black foliage that can take all day sun, and it is going to have like cherry red flowers. It is so striking. The difference between this and cherry cordial of the Surefires is that the XL, as its name suggests, is going to be much bigger. So if you're going in the landscaping, you want to go big, you want to buy less plants, then the XL Red on Chocolate is going to be the one that you're going to want to use because, like I said, it gets bigger, it gets taller, it gets wider. It is absolutely stunning. And yes, it can do those sun to shade conditions. And then last, but certainly not least, we have the diamond euphorbias. I use diamond euphorbias in my garden every single year. It truly depends on the application that you want to use. And so there are three in this series. You have got snow, frost, and mountain. Now, if you're familiar with those, you may say, well, Jenny, the tag says full sun. Yes, it does. But from years of experience testing it, I have put it into my shade garden and it thrives and does wonderful. If you want a pops of white in your garden, then this is where we're going to go for those diamond euphorbias. So the three different ones. So let me just kind of break it down because it can be a little bit confusing. And if you look at a picture on the tag, you're like, I don't understand what the difference is. All right, so first we have diamond snow. Diamond snow is going to be in that 12 to 18 inches tall, kind of that mounded habit. This is going to be a very compact white. So if you want a block of white, either in a container, a hanging basket, or the landscape, go with diamond snow. Diamond frost, the exact same size as your diamond snow, okay? But diamond frost is very light and airy. This is the one that you're going to pair with your angel wing begonias that kind of intermingle with them, or if you want to do petunias or something like that. So it has a very light and airy look. When you compare it with another plant in a container, they intermingle with one another, okay? Very soft, romantic look. Then you have a Diamond Mountain. Diamond Mountain and Diamond Frost look the exact same in the garden center in the spring. Very light, airy, open habit. They intermingle with one another. But as its name suggests, Diamond Mountain. Mountains are tall, right? So at the end of the season, Diamond Mountain is going to be really big. So in that 2 to 3 foot range, like every bit, and that very light, very airy. This is going to be great for the landscape where you want it in the back to give nice big presents, or in a very large container where you need height. So the main difference, the only difference between Diamond Frost and Diamond Mountain is going to be the ultimate size of the plant. All right. So those are those plants, those annuals that I faithfully put in my garden every single year. There are tons of choices. We all could do a lantana, and we could have, 100 people that have a lantana, and we each have a different lantana in the garden, but they are still great performers. So go through, check out, look at the tags. If you're ordering on the website, look at the descriptions, see what your sizes are going to be, compare the sizes to one another, so that way you get the plant that you want. But again, these are rock steady, faithful annuals that I use every single year in my garden. Low maintenance, high performing, not divas in the garden. So if you need extra help, like I said, if you're a first-time gardener, you're a self-proclaimed black thumb, you just have a season in life where you just need to have a beautiful garden without any kind of fuss, choose from these plants. I promise that you will have a great success. As always, we are here to help you, encourage you, to educate you. So if there's anything that we can help you do, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. If you have a rock steady, confidence building, low maintenance, high performing annual, we would love it if you would share that, because this is a great community to share those ideas with. So as always, we hope you have found this fun, informative, and inspirational. Make sure you like and subscribe. That way you don't miss these great videos that we bring you 5 days a week. As always, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for gardening with Creekside. We will see y'all in the next video. Bye, friends.